And we're live. Welcome everybody to the Learning in Public series where I vibe code building different tools and systems. As a longtime engineer who loves building things, we're going to pick up where we left off working on an event website, an event planner website called Just Lovely Events. Together we've vibe coded pretty much the whole app end to end, with a couple of exceptions over the weekend where I worked with Codex pretty significantly. I'm starting my stream a little bit later today because, well, I had been working with GPT-5 on a more complex app that I'm really going to be excited to share called Robot Flower, which is an AI-based home maintenance application that enables people to collaborate in maintaining and managing their home to solve the problem of trust. It's actually a big problem, it seems. What can, and one of the intentions of this broadcast is to get this much attention from the Sun Tzu of our time, Mr. Rick Rubin. He would probably blush at that label, but for those of us who hang on the words he shares and find him something of magnificent spiritual leader, we will anchor to verse 4 of the Way of Code, followed by the same verse from the Tao Te Ching. And then I'll go through my plan for today. As I was yesterday, I'm still, unfortunately, a little bit under the weather, so I might have to pause, mute, and sneeze or blow my nose every once in a while. And that's not so pleasant for anybody involved, but my intention is to keep as many of my biological functions away from you as possible. You can call this the anti-OnlyFans in that way. So let's start. Actually, there's a lot of ways this is the anti-OnlyFans. All right. We're funny. Talking to ourselves in public. This is lovely. Okay. I don't have chat working again. I don't actually know how to get it working, and I'm really not all that bothered. My computer is, once again, running slow. It's already hanging on me just trying to open up the settings. So we'll see how this goes. And once again, if I have to, let me just see if I can, whatever. Again, the chat's not working, so I won't worry about it today. But if anybody has a pressing question, you can hit me up at cloudelephants.com. I run an agency that does fractional CTO services. In non-nerd parlance, there's a lot of people who are going to start using AI and automation in their business because now you don't need to hire a team of engineers to build really cool systems for your business. But it's probably useful to have someone who's been around the block a couple of times to help you navigate automating key functions of your workflow so that you can get more done with less at a higher quality and more consistently. So hit me up at cloudelephants.com. My name's Ryan, and I would be happy to help you out however I can. We do everything from custom app development to low-code deployments to WordPress builds, and like you see here, a custom Next.js application integrated with GoHighLevel. So let's start reading, and then we'll jump into our plan for today. So 4, empty yet inexhaustible, fathomless and eternal. Source is the ancestor of elegant patterns. It smooths sharp logic, unravels the knots of control. It softens the glare and merges with every challenge. Code flows effortless from its depths. It is unseen, yet always present. I do not know its origin. Heaven and earth came later. It is older than God. Whoa, okay. Take us there, Rick. and from the Tao Te Ching, the same. My translation might be different. I have another one on my desk here that I actually prefer, but you know, never bad to get more than one perspective. And again, the goal here is to just sort of settle in and rest in some spiritual anchor place so that we can line ourselves with the creative truth that is in our being. Because our objective is to express ourselves, in this case, in a digital medium, but I imagine for any creator out there, it might be connecting with your inner being so that you can manifest what you're trying to bring forward. Like well, maybe in the woo-woo sense, but I'm not talking about manifesting reality. Well, actually I am. That's literally what I'm talking about. So 4. The Tao is an empty vessel. It is used, but never filled. O unfathomable source of 10,000 things. Blunt the sharpness, untangle the knot, soften the glare, merge with dust. O hidden deep, but ever present. I do not know from whence it comes. It is the forefather of the ancestors. I think Mr. Rubin is giving us something of his own perspective here, and I definitely find it meaningful and enlightening. Cool. So we'll rest with that, take with it what you need. My computer starts to run slow as soon as I start running any apps and live streaming at the same time. So we'll go ahead and get started and you know, cross our fingers that this works. But the last couple days, yeah, it's showing me I'm dropping 40% of my frames right now. So that's obviously not ideal. Test. Let's see. Maybe this is better. I have 2 mics now going. Audio input capture. One appears more. All right, let's try this, and hopefully that works. But I'm still dropping about 40% of my frames. So hopefully this is just while this bad boy loads. If not, I might have to find a new approach to live streaming, because this is not going to be pleasant for anybody who might be watching it. Yeah, cursor is running slow. Yeah, this might be a painful way to work, and we'll get the server running. And hopefully we'll be able to actually accomplish our goals together. We're still at about 30% of frames dropped. Yesterday, we ended with Tina CMS not quite running. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as I could log off the stream and get a little bit more of my own computer back, we started to get better outcomes. And the system started running fast enough for me to get some more cycles. And so we have Tina CMS running. It was effectively just a configuration problem in how I had Tina CMS set up. Okay. Sorry, I had to blow my nose there. Okay, so we've got the app running, and we're going to start trying to get this site ready to go for production. You'll note we got this little animation running. Yesterday we had talked about getting the thank you animation running. So when you submit a form, you should be able to get redirected to this thank you page that says, thank you for making an event request to Just Lovely Events. We look forward to making your event lovely. And then there is this animation going with the balloons that pop. So one thing I would like to do is, let's go ahead and get into our public. And I want to try something that I hadn't tried yet. And I've got this SVG that I'm going to just drop into my images folder. And I would like to use the balloon SVG in the animation. So let's go ahead and try and see if we can get this. So let's copy the path. In our, actually let me get, so we're going to keep using GPT-5. I have some thoughts, by the way. So, I didn't actually mention the plan for the day. So the plan for the day is to try to integrate this form into a new GoHighLevel account that I have set up for for Lovely events. And my intention is to get this form submitting new leads from our custom website. I sell access to GoHighLevel, which is a CRM, and can set it up and manage it for you. In fact, we have a back office as a service service that we offer. The goal is to make it so you don't have to deal with or manage your CRM. And it does everything from automating your marketing campaigns to automatically soliciting reviews, filtering reviews, helping you manage calendars. We can set up an AI voice receptionist. So we'll set up a few of these different features for the Just Lovely events business. But today we're going to begin by connecting, or today our objective is to connect our Vercel Next.js website to GoHighLevel so that when we deploy it, we can go ahead and have it automatically capture leads and push them to our CRM. So let's do this thank you animation really quick. And one thing I want to, so I was going to jump into some thoughts. Been working with GPT-5 all day. Actually, they're giving away free credits on Cursor for paid accounts right now. And unfortunately, it's not as good as Claude. It's really good at front-end code, but it's just not, in my experience, as good at handling complexity as Claude was. It's much more conservative. It makes much more minimal. It's much more minimal in its changes. There are times where I feel like it's next level, and then there are other times where I just can't get it to do what I need it to do because it seems so risk averse. On the flip side, Claude really doesn't seem all that aware of risk and is, will blow away your repo. Depending on what you're trying to do. Today I was trying to debug a complex AI photo review process in Elixir that had probably between 7,000 to 10,000 lines of code throughout all the different modules. And it really couldn't help me refactor that. It wouldn't even really try. Where Claude, I could break it down and resimplify it in much more efficiently. So depending on the use case, and I would say the use case that's best suited for GPT-5, although it seems to be pretty good at Python too, it just doesn't handle really complex logic as well on the back end. Take it for what it's worth. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add this component to the context of the chat, and then we'll work through our our lovely floating background, which is loaded from components. So where are my components? There it is. Components, lovely floating background. I'm going to add this to the cursor chat. I'd like to replace the balloons in this animation with this SVG while maintaining the colors, the brand colors. So let's just see how this goes. Hopefully this just extracts the SVG and updates the code here, because the balloon SVGs are, let me see if they're in here. Yeah, right here. Oh wait, that's not it. I have, so that's the path for the flowers. I should have a balloon path somewhere. There we go. Wait, nope, that's not it either. Spawn flowers, base balloons. Let's see this. Where's the spawn balloon function? So the goal here is to get the balloons that we like to show up here instead of these longer stringed balloons. And this, I think, will give the animation a little bit, make the animation a little bit better. Okay, so while that is running, and we'll kind of pull our window up here so we can see when it finishes, we had Perplexity create instructions for how to connect to GoHighLevel. And I should have already created an API that handles the event request, which is here. And I might even have, here we go, a GoHighLevel TypeScript integration. And my instance of GoHighLevel is at growth.cloudelephants.com, so I might be able to point it at that specifically. So we'll wait for this to finish running, and then we'll jump right into connecting our contact page and our request event flow into GoHighLevel. While this is going, I'm guessing I can create custom values, which is one way. So we're back to only losing 16% of frames, so it's going to be a little choppy. Okay, so let's read through our instructions here. And I used a Perplexity project, which gives us a little bit more compute behind each answer, and it uses a wide range of tools. In fact, it'll create presentations, it will create code for you. This is a pretty fantastic tool, and I've heard really good things about the Claude browser. Some interesting, they offered $36 billion with a B to buy Chrome. I believe the DOJ was trying to break up Google as a monopoly at some point a couple years ago, and was going to break out Chrome from the rest of the Google or Alphabet corporate ecosystem. I think with the current folks in charge, the monopolies aren't going to be a huge problem, and so we'll see how much pressure Google actually feels to sell. But it could be very interesting if Perplexity made Chrome an AI native browser. It could be very powerful. Okay, so for a single account, this is probably what we want. Log into GoHighLevel, navigate to settings, integrations, private integrations, create integration, lead form, copy generated token. I believe I already have that, so that's good. And create environments. So we'll want to add this. Here it's giving me an example form. And here's the server action. We should already have Zod in place. For more traditional API handling or when you're working with external services, you can use API routes. Okay. So this generally is just walking us through the couple of options we have, and it's not, there's going to be a lot of details we need to figure out as we work through the integration itself. But we're going to set up our environment variables so that we have tokens. These tokens are like long strings of numbers and letters that allow the system to kind of do a handshake and say, oh, can I trust you, or are you the request that I think you are? We're going to use Vercel and an API so that none of this gets exposed on the client. If you're new to web development and are building your first app, sometimes we can feel like we've made things work by just putting our tokens on the client, and that can be pretty insecure. Other people can steal those tokens and pretend to be you. And that's the way this sort of works is that GoHighLevel doesn't know where the valid requests are going to be coming from. And so they need a somewhat flexible yet somewhat secure way of validating requests as they come in. So I told this next answer that I wanted an API key. So here's validating the field. Let me just see if, okay, so it said it replaced the balloon with my SVG. Let's see how it did. All right. Yay, it's mostly done. I don't want the string. That looks great. Since the SVG already has a string, let's remove the string from the balloon. And let's see if it can figure it out before we figure it out, because we couldn't even figure out where the balloon was being drawn last time. So it's the reference to the current canvas. Where did it go? Okay. So this is what the balloon looks like. And it looks like it did just extract. Let's see if it removed the hand-drawn string. That was pretty fast. Suspiciously fast, actually. Had to sneeze. Sneeze break. All right. So here's the draw balloon function. And here's the confetti function. I don't know why this got changed. Maybe this has to do with the popping. I should be able to see it. I still see the double string. Oops. All right, this is like fully vibe coding because we're just talking to it here. Let's go back. Hopefully it will. Oh, we can also show you I'm getting kind of distracted here. Admin. This will show you what it looks like, what Tina CMS looks like working. Okay. So let's go ahead and see if we can get deep research to help us out to consolidate this specification a bit for Just Lovely and have it give us a really clear plan while this works in the background. I suspect we're going to have more than one request that we're going to need to make to get this balloon animation working as we want it to work. And boy, oh boy, isn't this slow right now. Welcome to Tina. Okay. So here you can see that we can manage the content across the site. Let's update. Oh, I'll need to update. Looks like I need to edit the blog markdown. Here is the home page. Go ahead and say beautiful events instead of what it was before. Boutique and suite is what it was before. And once that value saves, boy, oh boy, isn't this slow. There you go, beautiful events. Okay, so we're gonna have ChatGPT Deep Research create us a detailed implementation plan. And I've got this configured up against my GitHub, and hopefully we're gonna get the Just Lovely Events website here. And I'm gonna ask it, please create a detailed implementation specification for integrating GoHighLevel with an API key for a Next.js website to submit custom forms with custom values while ensuring leads flow into the system for future automations. And I'm going to take the details of the findings from here and say here's some research. And I might turn the model up a bit. I say, hey, let's do some pro level thinking here. Okay, so this is going to ask me some follow-up questions. This computer is wickedly slow when I'm streaming. That might make it easier to follow along, or incredibly boring. Who knows? Okay, so I like to answer inline. Are you planning to use the server actions approach? I plan to use next API route and API key. Please suggest the lowest friction approach while maintaining security. I will provide it with the form. Here's the event request page, and we'll grab the form. And this will show all the values that I'm going to be capturing. And I'll just copy pasta. Here is the multi-step form customers will submit. Again, we want to provide as much meaningful context as possible so that the result we get back is aligned to our expectations. Now there's a sort of a fine line. You can give too much detail to where key details get lost, but I don't think we're at that point. Oh, no, please provide instructions so I can test, so I can accomplish this. No, I don't need deployment instructions. We'll do that together. Private API token is my preferred method. Okay, let's see where we're at here. It's still working on changes here. Your reliable event team. So let's see how the media manager works. I should be able to... Oh, there was a couple of other things. We'll just be patient. As these things... Wanted to know, you can upload images here and manage them, which is nice. In fact, I should maybe upload some of the other images that I've generated from Sora and other places. Don't want to get caught up doing too many things at once, but that's what I'm always want to do when I'm waiting for an AI to return a response, because it's, you know, my computer's running so slow right now. All right, we're dropping a lot fewer frames. I wonder if we did something like Perplexity while this is going, and we just reviewed some of the AI news together, or maybe went over some key topics. So let's go to the home and start doing that, and we can just maybe enter into a dialogue together. I wish the chat was working. Okay. Let's do some research on AI topics. How does an LLM work? Let's ask. hopefully we can talk together about what these things mean. Has anybody noticed how angry the internet is? I'm not saying that I don't get it sometimes, but like there's a lot of people who are mad at stuff, right? This is hot takes with Ryan right now. I've been, the YouTube algorithm really wants me to be angry at women. I'm not, but it's trying. It feels like folks are frustrated with how things are working and they want to blame somebody. So women are blaming men and men are blaming women, and somehow that makes things better. Cool. So how does an LLM work? Large language models are sophisticated neural networks that can understand and generate human language by learning patterns from vast amounts of text data. Let's just stop there and cycle on that a little bit, because a lot of folks reduce these tools down to just next word prediction, right? And I think under the hood, that is the simple principle, next word prediction. And folks have been working on generating predicting the next word in a sentence for a very long time. I think some of this research goes back to early days of computing. All right, we're finally getting some progress. And what we're starting to see now is not just the ability to predict next words, but more this inherent relationship between words as concepts, which is pretty powerful, right? So let's learn a little bit about, and this is sort of the breakthrough. The attention is all you need paper. Let's see if we can go through and dig into attention is all you need. This is one of the seminal papers that, and there have been folks who have created a bunch of derivatives of this paper since. We'll read the abstract together and try to figure out why it was so important. The dominant sequence transduction models are based on complex recurrent and convolutional neural networks in an encoder-decoder configuration. The best performing models also connect the encoder and decoder through an attention mechanism. We propose a new simple network architecture, the transformer, based solely on attention mechanisms, dispensing with recurrence and convolutions entirely. Experiments on 2 machine translation tasks show these models to be superior in quality while being more parallelizable and requiring significantly less time to train. Our model achieves 28.4 BLEU on the WMT 2014 English to German translation task, improving over the existing best results, including ensembles by over 2 BLEU. I don't actually know what most of these words mean. On the WMT 2014 English to French translation task, our model establishes a new single model state-of-the-art BLEU score of 41.8 after training for 3.5 days on 8 GPUs. A small fraction of the training costs of the best models from the literature. We show that the transformer generalizes well to other tasks by applying successfully to English constituency parsing, both with large and limited training data. Okay. Help explain this like I'm 5. Okay. Imagine you're trying to understand a story, but instead of reading one word at a time from left to right, you could look at all the words at once and figure out which ones are most important for understanding each part. That's basically what the transformer paper discovered. That's pretty cool. So it sounds like they converted words to math, probably something like a math matrix, and then allowed for a comparison between all of the words at once using some sort of abstract representation. The old computer translators were like reading a book with a tiny flashlight that could only see one word at a time. When they wanted to translate the black cat from English to French, they would look at the and remember it, look at black and try to remember both the and black, and look at cat to remember all three. By the time they got to the end, they sometimes forgot what was at the beginning. This was really hard for a long sentence because computers, like people, have trouble remembering everything when there's too much to keep track of. The transformer said, what if we could look at all the words at the same time? It's like having a magical spotlight that can shine on every word in the sentence simultaneously. So I'm guessing it's like going from reading with your finger under each letter to sort of when you're more advanced in your reading, you can start to skim and sort of hear the concepts as you read them. It's like getting caught up in a really good book and hearing the idea in your head. Maybe I'm giving too much of an insight into how my own brain works while I'm reading. But you start to hear the idea in your mind, and you can even visualize the story. You forget the task that you're doing, which is, reading incrementally word by word. The original transformer had two main parts, like two friends working together on a translation project. The encoder friend takes the sentence you want to translate and really, really understands it by looking at all the words together. So this is where this training that they talk about, taking all of the words from different sources, you keep hearing about like copyright violation and scraping the whole internet. I'm guessing that's the encoder part. And then the decoder friend takes that understanding and creates a translation one word at a time. So that's the next word prediction part. So why is this so amazing? Before transformers, computers had to process sentences like reading with blinders on, sort of like skimming word by word, trying not to forget the previous words. The transformer could look at everything all at once, which made it faster, better understanding, and better at translating. Which means if it can translate concepts between language, and in particular as the translations get more accurate, that means the underlying understanding it has of what the ideas mean mathematically can be expressed in different ways. So this is how you start to get to image generation, right? If you have an LLM, what does a large language model have to do with images? If you can conceptually represent an idea and connect that to pictures, then it's effectively the same process. We're going to go encoder, decoder. We're going to go from image to text, and from text to image, from text to audio, from audio to text, from video to text, text to video. And you can see all these things in tools right now, which is pretty powerful. So let's see what kind of progress we're making, and we'll jump back to it. So code changes are coming in pretty slow here. I'm not going to accept these changes. I'll see them rendered out first. And make sure, and it's verifying. It hasn't re-rendered yet with the new it's very possible that this is going to end up being like a slow canvas render for some people's browsers, but that'll be something we'll have to work on. And while these changes are being made, I'll do something else. I want to look at the portfolio page. Yeah, I need to take these classes and ensure they're around everything on the thank you page as well. I got double quotes here at the end. So these are Tailwind classes. Somebody on Reddit today dumped what they claim is the system prompt for GPT-5. And it seems to make some specific references to Tailwind and ShadCN, which would signal why it tends to bias towards those solutions and why it seems to be a better designer. I always kind of had the hypothesis that Tailwind, and when I was working as a full-time engineer, front-end engineer, front-end means like the website you interact with. When I was doing that work, I would always build utility classes as my first order, and that would make it so you could compose your style with common rules across the site. Tailwind does that as a big library that you can use. And now there's a library called ShadCN, which takes that Tailwind, those Tailwind styles, and implements them in React. So it's a much more efficient way to build front-end code. And to be frank, the markup ends up being something that's a little bit more predictable for an LLM, because we're talking about, when we're talking about transformers, we're looking at like representation of the whole context. So can you express in DOM markup, right? This is React, but it looks like this for the most part. Can you express the individual pixels of an image with a high resolution using these tools? And this ends up being shorthand for a couple of lines of CSS. Excuse me. Which genuinely makes things more efficient. Well, I told you guys I wasn't going to accept these, but I just did. Let's see how it renders. And it removed the tail. Fantastico. So that works. We'll accept these changes. We'll commit them. Fixed balloons in animation. And I'm guessing there's going to be some more changes that come through here, but wow, it's going very, very slowly. So let's see how our specification is coming. And it looks like it finished. So we'll look at these instructions. So we're going to need the API token and the location ID, and I can get both of those things. I'll probably add them off the screen, but that's okay. Just I'll tell you where to find them in GoHighLevel though. So we're going to add those to our environment, and that means, and we're going to use an API. We're going to use an API in Next. One of the reasons why I like to go with Next.js for simple websites, actually, you can get a lot of complexity out of these. And if McKenna and Melinda end up wanting to have, hey, Ryan, I want my customers to be able to log in and see all the event requests that they've made, and I want them to be able to manage their schedule with me, we can do that. That'll be something that we can set up for them using Next.js. So it ends up being a really flexible front-end tool that can connect to any number of different services. And if I need to build a custom application on the back end to service that, I can do that. And I am mentioning this because I have a version of that planned to do on stream, but I genuinely think I'm going to need a better computer to be able to both stream this and work at the same time, because I can barely work in Docker on this machine. And so we'll have to figure something out. If somebody wants to watch me code that in real time, I'm taking donations of best practices for how to do this, and would love to learn and get taught on how to set up a streaming ecosystem so I can share more and more of what I do, and if it's helping other people. So the Next.js ships with APIs that get deployed to AWS Lambda. Lots of nerd speak here. But I don't need to create, AWS Lambda is a serverless And that's kind of a misnomer. It's still a server, but they kind of handle all of the abstraction. So you can just deploy a function and have it run on AWS's servers and only pay for what you use. So unless or until you're handling millions of requests, I think quite literally millions of requests, it's a very cost-effective way to build an app. So we'll be able to create a lot of custom behaviors and give a very custom feeling experience for Just Lovely events users and customers, prospects, that will make their brand and business look good, give them a fast and snappy experience while also protecting the secrets that need to be deployed in the cloud, so nobody can steal my API tokens and get access remotely to my system. So then we're going to want to create the custom fields in GoHighLevel, and that's what we'll do next as the next prompt runs. So your form collects additional data beyond the standard contact fields. We'll need the corresponding GoHighLevel fields. So identify needed fields from the form the custom fields are. So these are the custom fields we would need, and we'll need to give them names. So name, email, and phone are already built into GoHighLevel. So we'll go into GoHighLevel, we'll go to Settings, Custom Fields, we'll do this together, and we'll create the custom fields that we want to capture. And then I'll keep track of those, and we'll tell Cursor what fields we need to capture and how we need to map them, meaning they're going to be named something on the client and something on the server. So when we capture it through the client and send it over the server will need to change the names so that they can talk system to system. So custom fields are identified by ID. So it will create the location. So this is exactly what we need. Okay, great. This is great. So that's what I expected as the next step. And then for implementation in the next API route, since we already have this route implemented, and this was pretty much already scaffolded out, here is exactly the handler logic. Fantastic. So I will take these instructions and provide them over to Cursor when we've created the custom fields. So our front end is going to remain mostly the same. We'll want to do first name and last name. Okay, so I'll change that on the front end. And we're going to then test it. So this looks pretty straightforward. This is what I expected, and then here's an example of what we expect to be sent over the wire. So that request just finished up, and we'll see how it looks now. And we'll see if the padding on the thank you page. There we go. Aw, so cute. Great. And then we'll go to thank you. Again, Alanis Morissette. That's what I hear in my head. The padding worked out great. And when this will be what we see when we've successfully submitted. So let's go ahead and take that next step. And for all you GoHighLevel people, I'm not going to be able to timestamp this as like a chapter, but if I had like an animation go boom, 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 GoHighLevel time. So if you wanted to learn how to integrate your Next.js app, submit a custom form in GoHighLevel, this is how you would do it. So at about 55 minutes is when we did that. So let's go to the Book Now page. And let's just let's just go step by step here. So we're going to go into settings, and I'm pretty sure it obscures the custom API key, and the location ID is public. So let me Actually, let me just make this change really quickly here off screen. And then I'll, what did it suggest I call it? It's a very long, ugly number. And I'll just copy this. And I'm doing some secret work over here. So I've got, oops, got my API token. And then I'll get my location ID. If we get this working pretty fast here, that's going to be awesome. Because then, hopefully, we can start to deploy this bad boy and get it live. My goal is to have it live by the end of the week. And if we get it done tomorrow, that would be awesome. There's some basic wiring up account setup that I need to do. Still need to figure out exactly how I want to do that on stream, just because I don't want to give away too much information here. I'm already giving away more than I'm probably comfortable with. So here are, I always get confused, is it custom values or is it custom fields? There we go, custom fields, because these apply to the customer. Now I made the mistake of setting up this customer with setting up Just Lovely events using the event planner defaults. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to start from a bare bones setup, but for now, we'll go here. So let's add a folder, and we'll call this folder the event request, and it's going to be a contact. And let's see where that bad boy is. So it says it was added. Do I need to refresh? And you'll note growth.cloudelephants.com is where this is hosted. This is a custom SaaS that I'm offering and can set up for you. So here's our custom request, and we're going to add our fields here. So this is a little bit cumbersome, but it extracted the fields, and I can verify that it's right. So we're going to have event theme. As our first one. And it's going to be a single line text. Next, field name, event theme, and we'll add to the contact. Excuse me. Sneeze break. I'm glad the resolution's probably low on my stream because my eyes are watering. So we're going to add event theme. It's going to be in the event request group. Single line means we don't want this to be like a paragraph, right? We just want this to be quick. So theme of your event. And so it should give us an ID when this is done. Contact event theme. Great. We'll add another field. And that next is the number of guests. This is going to be an integer. So we're going to go for a number. Great. Next, number of guests. Make sure I spelled it right. It's in number. I think I'll need to have it be 25 as the base number. We'll save that. The preferred venue. I don't think preferred venue. I don't think it's preferred venue. Yeah, maybe it's preferred venue because they're going to offer the services. So this will be a single line again. And this is going to be indoor, outdoor, home, event space location preferred event location, home, office, etc. So these will be the the values that show up in the inputs on the form. The next field is the venue location, single line, and this is going to be name of venue location, in case they already have a place picked. We're going to add a field here. It's going to be the venue address. What's this next one? We just did the venue location, right? Yeah, so venue address. I should have an address drop down. I really would ideally like to validate the address, but this actually is one of my gripes about GoHighLevel, is they tend to only offer that in one way, and it's kind of cumbersome. Venue address and address of the event location. Save. We're going to have the budget, event budget. And this is going to be monetary. Event I don't want them giving me a budget. Well, I guess if it's monetary, I don't want it to be monetary. We'll have it be text, and we'll give them the ability to say about a range of what they want. And we'll say 1,500 to say it's at least $1,500 for a custom event. And ideas and aspirations. This is going to be multi-line. Next. So again, this is inside the settings of your location under custom fields. So when I get a new contact submitted over GoHighLevel or over our custom website, all of these fields should be pre-populated by default. As a next step, we're going to take a new event request and develop an N8N workflow that will, do some initial research and then email McKenna and Melinda, hey, these are here are some color ideas, here are some products on Amazon that we can use to support the event, and here's some inspiration photos that you can leverage to create an inspiration board. One of the custom app ideas that we have is once you submit a custom event request, McKenna and Melinda will be able to go in to the app and create a page that they email back to you. And we can do all this in GoHighLevel with it being manual for now. That will allow them to have like an event board and then maybe even a blog page about it. So like, hey, this is an event idea board for a Star Wars birthday party for a 14-year-old, for example. And as they create these idea boards, they can promote those on social media. So it's a way to collaborate with customers, a way to get feedback, a way to also share information across the web that will hopefully lead to them getting more leads. And to be frank, as people start to search on the web using AI agents, give me ideas for a Star Wars birthday party, this is sort of a backdoor SEO strategy because SEO is changing. So if we have a bunch of inspiration boards rather than blog posts or articles that are giving specific theme ideas Amazon products, Amazon wish lists. We can add some affiliates in there. This might be a really interesting way to start to grow organically as well. So I'm excited about this one. What are your goals for the event? What are your ideas for how it looks? And that's multi-line. So name, email, phone are all connected in. We've connected these. Great. So now I want to, we're going to do something kind of fun here. So I'm going to make this the thinking model now, and I'm going to have it use Canvas, which gives it the ability to sort of write code for us. And I'm going to just copy and paste the unique keys over and say, here are my unique keys. And I knew this, I could do it this way because, and again, I want to ensure preferred venue, venue location, venue address, budget range, and ideas and aspirations. So above are the values for my custom fields. Can you please extend this API endpoint so that I can implement in code? Okay. And let me grab, oh, I pulled it over here. And I need to source env here. Let me do a couple of tweaks here. And I'll pull this off because last time what I'm doing is loading up. Oh, good thing I did that because I didn't do it quite right. And it's because there's white space in my values here. So bear with me 1 second. All right. npm run dev. All right, so now we have those values added to our API. And I'm going to pull this back over. And we'll grab our API endpoint in the event request route. And we'll say, please, so here's the API endpoint, and I'll tell the AI, assume I'm capturing first and last name separately, which is what it suggested. So let's go ahead and approve the changes that it made to the animation because we're happy with it. And then we'll say we want the event request form please ensure that I'm capturing first name and last name separately. I spelled it wrong. Okay. So now we're going to be kicking off the worker here. And the cool thing, so it's going to think for a second since we're using the thinking mode. And we've got the server running. And what if it just works the first time? Wouldn't that be lovely? Hey, on brand. So it's going to create a Next API endpoint in code here. This is looking good. First name, last name, email, phone, location ID, source. Where do I want to get the don't know if I need this part. That feels erroneous to me. But overall, that looks good. Okay, so let's see if it updated the form. First name, last name. 8 total changes. First name, last name instead of just name. First name, last name instead of just name. Once again. Okay, cool. So it's going to... It's added the new inputs. Excellent. Okay. Now let's just see if this works as we expected. And okay, what is this first one? So here's the route. That's not quite right. I'm going to ask it, why are these fields coming from the end? Hopefully it updates it, because that's not great. Okay, let's just double check that our form, so we want a Star Wars birthday celebration for 35 guests, and it's going to be inside because it's a bajillion degrees outside, and it's going to be at 1, 2, 3. It's going to be Mesa, Arizona, at 1, 2, 3, First Ave, and we're going to do $1,500. And the event request form is still only showing one input for the name instead of a first and last name. This is not a great answer. Those values provided the custom field names, unless I'm misunderstanding something. Can you just remap them on the form submission? Okay, I don't see any changes. Man, this is what was going on earlier with GPT-5. It was just not, I don't, any changes. There's a first name. There's the last name. Is it not re-rendering? Do I need to didn't compile or re-render. I think that might be it. So I see it in code. Yeah, okay. So we're going to get that back. Let's try this again. Star Wars birthday, 24, guess this time. Backyard, London, in 1023 3rd Street, 1500. I'm going to change the colors of these forms. First name, last name, okay. Great, that worked. So I want to adjust the event request change. Let's do this. I'll do that next. So in my event request form, I'm going to change the color of the form itself so that the button stands out. White, and then I think it's border tone yellow. Actually, I like the pink. So hopefully this gives us a nicer first name, last name, first name, last name, and then on success. Let me stop my sniffles for a second. I think I need, you know, elevator music. Do 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 do. Okay. Sneeze break. It's going very slow. And then we'll update. Okay. Okay, does it remap? It's grabbing the tokens. All right. Let's just leverage this. And I'll see if we can give it the whole file here. Okay, so we've updated the contact form, and I'm going to now update the API. Here is a proposal. Normally I would just copy this code in and then we'd see how it worked, but let's have it interpret for the event request API route. And I'll add that to the scope of the chat so that it has the form and the route in the case that there's any difference between the two. Now we get the buttons showing up a lot cleaner, in my opinion. That's just your opinion, man. All right. Open link in new tab. And we'll just review that contact form. So it's adding a library function. Cool. Boy, this is slow. Okay. Yeah, when the dropdown takes 5 minutes, you know your computer's running slow. Okay, but that is something we can test next. Actually, well, I don't think I'm fully set up, so I don't think I can embed the calendar yet. Okay, so accept multi-form payload and creates a GoHighLevel contact using provided token keys. Okay, those are the token keys. It's mapped them. Number of guests. Okay. And then there's a new library function, helper function, that when it decides to take me there, okay, so there's the default GoHighLevel. Okay. That's a skim. That's a dev manager pull request review. Looks good. Works on my local. But we're gonna test that. So it won't just be the appearance. The only thing I'm sort of skeptical of is here. Don't know why I need to cache. Oh, it's caching the token? Okay. And it's probably more robust than I need it to be. But let's give it a try. I have a couple thoughts I wanted to, or a couple tweaks I wanted to make just before we get there. See if it gives me defaults. What is your budget range? The placeholders budget needs to be 1,500 to 10,000 instead. To signal to people. Okay, so let's just see what this gives. 35 guests. It's going to be in a backyard, or it's going to be in a house. Mesa, Arizona. It's 1023 3rd Street. Got a $1,500 budget. I want to plan a 14-year-old birthday party at my house and need help decorating. My first name is Ryan. My last name is Hurst. It's going to be ryan@cloudelephants.com, and I'm going to give my business number 855-696-9947. Nice. And we'll see what happens. It's going to make an event request. Wouldn't it be amazing if it just worked? Oh, it barfed all over the screen. So that means we got a 500. Okay. So I'm getting an invalid JWT, which means let's just see if we can give it web connection, and I don't need it to do too much thinking. So I'm getting this error on submission. I'm using the API key from the settings page. Perhaps it's not treated as a bearer token. And if it is, then I might need to create a new one. So while that's giving me an answer, let me do some investigation. Private integrations, this is the other place that it said, are simple yet secure way to integrate your account with third-party apps. Next.js website. Just Lovely events website. The web presence for Just Lovely events. And I'm going to submit next on another page, just so if in case it shows me the token, I can need to select scopes here. Edit contacts. So I needed to edit contacts, I need to view contacts. This is probably something that other people could benefit from. View and edit the business, view calendars, edit calendars, view calendar events. I'm hoping I can update it. Probably want it to view products too, if that's an option. View custom fields, edit custom fields. I might want to create tasks. View tags, edit, or not. Maybe. Funnels. Edit products, view products. Probably being too permissive, or giving it too many permissions here. Okay, so I'll create this and then see if I'm going the right direction here. Okay, so let's see what the answer is, and then I'll update my environment. Okay, cool. So that was the issue. Let me fix that really quick. In my local environment, And I'll close that window and then fix this really quick. All right, we'll start that server back up and give it another try once it starts running. Do 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 do. All right. Once I added Tina, it started running slower. Tracks, but not fun. All right, we're starting the server back up. And let's see how it goes. We're ready. So let's send that request off again. It's going to compile. Got an updated token. Double fingers crossed. Quadruple fingers crossed. No! Got a 500 again. Property notes should not exist. So let's, okay. So this is a better error. And I'll say, I've updated to an API key, but am now getting a 422, which basically means the data that I'm sending isn't processable. And I'll give it the API route here, and it might be able to just tell me what the issue is. I'll leave search on, and I'll have it be thoughtful. We could dual track this and just paste over the error. Sometimes when you're vibe coding, that's the back and forth that you need with cursor. You can give it the ability to search the web and then try, I don't want to give it the route, I want to give it the error. So I'm getting a 400, and I think it's because we might be sending over a value called notes. So let's see how the different AIs, even though they're the same, one's on thinking mode, one is not, how they handle the answer. Okay, let's, well, no, we're in flow. I don't want to distract with too many things in parallel. We're just about to get this going, and once this works, then we'll be able to so GoHighLevel suggests that you rotate your token every 90 days. Okay, so we're adding notes, and we don't actually need to add notes, and I don't know where they're coming from. So let's just see if this just, yeah, so it removed. So we remove notes from there. So it reviewed notes. They both came to the same answer. And I don't know if I love the tag. I think we're going to fail on the tag next. So we'll recompile and run again. Hey, it worked. That is fantastic. So it's going to redirect me to the thank you page, and it's taking a second because it's got to compile it. It will pre-compile that on when we push this to production, so it should be much more snappy. It won't compile at every step. Hey, it worked. So now if I go to the GoHighLevel CRM and I look at customers, I would assume that it's going to be there. Let's see how it looks. Hey! We got that B-roll. So what we now have is a custom GoHighLevel integration that captures all the values, including a tag, because this can create tags, so I should be able to customize that by form. So what we can do in GoHighLevel is segment our users by form and by tags. It's a really powerful feature. So the context source is event request, and here's the event request info, Star Wars birthday, all the details that we need. So this is fantastic. The next thing I want to do is now I want to test the contact page. And ensure we can create a contact using the same pattern. So this is vibe coding. I'm not being as specific in my request here, but you saw how we can handle these things slightly differently depending on our use case. So let's go to our contact form, which is here, and we'll try out Jane Doe, janeexample.com, and it's 480-723-6658. Just making something else up. I'm interested in a celebration kit. I'd love to buy a DIY birthday kit for my daughter. I want a custom banner and balloon garland kit. And we'll go ahead and we'll send that message and we'll see if it works. I'm guessing it's going to break. I made some changes, so we'll see. We'll see if we messed up in real time. So it's compiling the new contact API after my changes. And that worked. So now it's going to send me to thank you. Fantastic. So if I go back to my contacts here, I should have Jane Doe in here as well. There she is. And she's a website contact versus an event request. So we could create a smart list that creates an email campaign specific to the different types of users that we have, which is pretty powerful. A lot of sophisticated larger companies segment their lists and market to each one of them differently. And you can build your lead funnels around capturing customers in different ways. So say, for example, you have a form that is for a marketing campaign targeted at 25-year-old mothers of young children and in a specific geography. You can tag them, and that might be different than how you might want to market to them differently than you might market to 40-year-old HR directors in a different geography. And the language of your marketing campaign can be tailored, and then you can start to tweak and optimize so that you ensure your marketing dollars are spent as efficiently as possible. But what we've done today together here in our hour and 40 minutes is we have updated the animation here to get us some really nice looking SVGs. We have created custom fields in GoHighLevel, and we've integrated our custom event request form for Lovely Events. Overall, pretty exciting. I think with the exception of the work I did over the weekend, we're like 6 or 8 hours into building this end-to-end, vibe coding this end-to-end, and we're able to connect it to a CRM. So if you need help, I'm here, Ryan with Cloud Elephants, and we'll wrap up today by committing our changes. But I just want to review what we've accomplished. We vibe coded a custom Next.js application. We learned a little bit about neo-brutalist design patterns. We've implemented a custom animation. We've implemented Tina CMS for managing the content across the site, and obviously we're going to need to update and finalize that. But this will empower McKenna and Melinda to create and edit the website to look exactly how they want and tailor the messages as they need them without needing me to make changes for them. We have connected to custom forms to GoHighLevel so that we can manage our customers. We can segment our leads in different ways so that we can start to market to them differently. Ultimately, because we have these foundational elements in place, we can start to create more and more branded experiences. So we talked about creating a portfolio. We have a portfolio site here, a portfolio page, but since I just requested a Star Wars birthday party, maybe McKenna and Melinda can go out and create a Star Wars birthday theme inspiration page and have it include images of work that they've done, ideas for work that they would like to do, or great ideas they've seen in other places, products, services. This can be really helpful to people in your audience who are just looking to learn, but it can also be another way to get leads. So now when people use AI search or are looking to plan their own party and they come across your site that has very specific Star Wars themed birthday party plans and materials and resources, maybe they go, you know what, I don't want to do this on my own. Let me just defer to the experts, and they submit a form. Well, now that user can, or that customer, prospect can show up and GoHighLevel and be segmented as a lead who's interested in Star Wars. So we would apply that tag. Anyway, really exciting. So let's go ahead and wrap today with the way that we began and anchor to the way of code by the Sun Tzu of our time, Rick Rubin. And we'll read number 4 and we'll peace out for today. And tomorrow I'll probably do some configuration on the side, and we'll be deploying this and getting it live using Vercel. And there's a couple of tweaks I know that McKenna and Melinda want made before it goes live. Removing the kits page because they're not quite ready with the kits. We'll probably, when that time comes, then integrate some of the e-commerce capabilities of GoHighLevel into the app. So people will be able to pick a kit and make a purchase directly using Stripe. So that will be really nice to cover. And before that, we'll probably take that event request form and use N8N to create a custom workflow that does some research so that it's really fast for them to create their specific themed events, right? And then once we've got our website online, then we're going to start implementing some customizations in GoHighLevel so that it can function as a business. We're going to set up an AI receptionist to take phone calls. We're going to set up their calendars so that they can embed their calendar in their website and take meetings directly at their convenience in sort of a round robin or however they want to manage their schedule. But we're going to set this up so that they can start to capture as many leads as possible and build a business from the ground up. And I'm really excited to be helping them out. So let's wrap up with the way of code, sonnet or verse 4. Empty yet inexhaustible, fathomless and eternal, Source is the ancestor of elegant patterns. It smooths sharp logic, unravels the knots of control. It softens the glare of complexity and merges with every challenge. Code flows, effortless from its depths. It is unseen, yet always present. I do not know its origin. Heaven and earth came later. It is older than God.